mysterious region. Not inscrutable, that's further east, but it is mysterious. Let's take, for example, Palestinians. How could there be Palestinians when there's no Palestine? It's a great mystery. Turns out that Palestinians actually left some time ago, and they took Palestine with them. You could have you were allowed 4 carry-ons at that time. Anyhow, now they want to come back. Now this is very important because this is called the right of return, and I actually support that. That might surprise you, but there's a precedent for this. The Israelites actually left and came back 2,000 years later. That's a good timetable, and I think that Palestinians could use that. It's not being used. And of course, while they're waiting their turn, they could do some work to get ready. They could civilize themselves. I mean, anyone can tell you they're not civilized. No, I'll just give you one example. Okay. All right. Suicide bombers. I mean, why can't they drop their bombs from airplanes like civilized people? I don't. Nonetheless, it is clear that we must deplore the extremism of Hamas, which forces Israel to kill civilians. Hamas must renounce its violence, which has caused responses from Israel. Hamas claims to be still responding to something that happened in 1948. Granted, it happened from 1948 until now, but it is time to stop living in the past-induced future. Of course, at the root of it all is the Hamas occupation of Israel. That is to say, Hamas does not recognize Israel's right to exist. We will save as a Jewish state in case they later do recognize the right. Movable goalposts are such an important part of any diplomatic toolbox. Now, some would say that Israel does not recognize a Palestinian state's right to exist. The people who say this are in custody. Some people will tell you the problem is actually the other occupation, the one by Israel. But that's so over and done, except for land, sea, and air. And the West Bank, which has nothing to do with Gaza. We have learned a lot from Gaza, now that we have not been able to get a look at it. We have to, first of all, acknowledge the suffering of Palestinians. They face suffocating poverty, and no one knows why. The recent study undertaken by Israel has been inconclusive, despite the use of many high-tech study jets and learning tanks. In the Middle East, Israeli peace troops continue their defense of the West Bank against attacks by its inhabitants, while Palestinians and therefore do not exist. The soldiers use only Uzi submachine guns to defend themselves against the terrorists who are heavily armed with Soviet-blocked rocks. Israel uses precision-targeted weaponry which enables them to hit civilians, their own soldiers, and the UN. They certainly use disproportionate force, resulting in the suffering of alleged children and other possible non-combatants. The Red Cross said that it became a full-blown humanitarian crisis. Israel said there was no shortage of human needs. Well, as I have always said, you're either with Israel or you're with the Red Cross.